So another question that came to my mind when we were doing our data quality chats is it's the self-service BI problem, and the business units have built their own warehouses. The business units have built their own tools. They've done this and that, and there's this impasse where like it's almost like IT hates the business for that, and the business hates and doesn't trust IT, and they said, forget you, we're building a warehouse, and it's a mess. It's a terrible mess. Do I just go to companies that are in bad spot? Is that a common problem, and why do you think it happens? I'm just curious.
Yep. So that's not uncommon. You see the whatever you want to call it, the departmental data warehouse, if you will. So it's almost like they're building their own unsanctioned
like radiology
data
said,
mart.
forget UIT, I'm building my own database and data mart. It's an access front end, and it's horrible.
Yep. It's a very common thing. You see it especially in, I hate to use this word, I think it's an overused word, but you see it in authoritarian IT cultures.
The ivory tower IT.
Right, where IT controls everything. They have absolute control over who can do what, who has access to what. And you do need a strong centralized IT for a lot of things. But IT needs to be a partner and not a barrier.
I love that. Say that again.
IT needs to be a partner and not a barrier. Because if you're responsible for securing the data, securing the data absolutely is your top function.
Especially today.
But not at the risk or not at the expense of making the data inaccessible to those who actually need to use it.
So you're saying it can be secure and accessible at the same time?
Oh, absolutely.
That's revolutionary.
Who would have thought?
Who'd have thunk?
But getting the tools in the hands of the people that need it, getting the data in the hands of the people that need it in an understandable format is critical. And where you see these departmental database and data warehouses pop up, you can see that's a symptom of having an IT department or an IT organization that doesn't effectively support its users. It doesn't give them what they use. Part of that, sometimes it's just a communication issue. If the business is not properly communicating their expectations, then some of that falls on the business side. But ultimately, whoever's controlling access to those apps and specifically to the data has to be out in front. We've talked about this before. Data professionals have to know not just the nuts and bolts of the data, but know what the data represents, know what its pain points are. And part of that is keeping a dialogue open with the business users that you're supporting. Because if you have this beautifully designed data warehouse, if you have an ODS, if you have a whatever it is, and people aren't using it, it's not going to be a success. It's going to sit there unused with, to use your analogy from an earlier video, tumbleweeds are going to blow around. Because yes, it's a good system, but nobody can use it. You have to work, if you're responsible, if you're a protector of the data, a steward of the data, you have to work with the data people, the people consuming the data,
business data
to understand, to understand how they need to consume the data, what tools they need to consume it, and what format they need to consume it. Because otherwise you do have these little things popping up like rogue seeds falling out of a tree and trying to plant little trees everywhere else. Very quickly that turns into a data quality issue because I've got this answer in this data warehouse, I've got this answer in that data warehouse, and none of them agree with each other. But the department trusts this answer. It's wrong, but the department trusts this answer because it's something that they have control over.
It almost feels like a lot of times the departmental data warehouses, which is a great word for it, the departmental data warehouses actually have they look better. Like they're a better put together sometimes approach to data, but then they don't have the rigor of the enterprise. It's like you need to meld the two together.
Well, they're tactical, so they're really specific to a problem at hand.
It's a single subject area too.
Single subject area, and a lot of times you'll see one table that will satisfy one query. You'll see some of the worst practices. You'll see
big table.
Literally, you'll see departments that are running on an Access database because that's the tool that somebody knew how to use, and that's what they use for it. Or even Excel. Sometimes Excel is the storage medium. In fact, more often than not, Excel is the storage medium for something like that.
They know it and it works.
They know it. They already have it on their computer, and they can do some level of manipulation without any real technical knowledge at all.
They should make a tagline: Excel, the original self-service BI tool.
It absolutely. Well, it still is. The funny thing is, it's a good self-service BI tool.
It's great.
But I see a lot more misuse than appropriate use of self-service BI in Excel for some of the same reasons that if you're not getting what you need from the centralized whatever it is, whether it's IT or BI or whatnot, organizations that enterprising people will go out on their own and get the data that they need. whether it's right or not.
Yeah.
They're going to provide something.
I don't remember. I'm pretty sure it was you. Our two companies do work together sometimes, and we were working on one common client, and the client jokingly called us business therapists. That was you, right? You remember that client?
I don't remember that client, but I've heard that term before.
If I give you two choices, what's more important that you bring to a client after your experience and what you have now? Is it your ability to listen and get people talking together and let them figure out their own problems, or is it the fact that you wrote ETL books, the fact that you've built warehouses, the fact that you've been doing this technology for over 10 years, over 15 years, all told, right? So which of those two is more important?
It's the former.
What's more valuable?
The former, far and away.
Yeah.
You can find anybody to solve a technical problem.
Sure.
I mean, what I do, I enjoy doing what I do, and I'm pretty good at it.
Yep.
But the big thing that I
Humble
do
too.
is humble too, absolutely.
Yeah.
But the best thing that I can do for a client is for me to understand their business problem and be a business problem solver who solves their business problem and facilitates those business communications.
Sure.
Because it doesn't matter how many books I wrote or what type of skins I have on the wall.
Yep.
If my technical skills can't solve the real problem at hand, like we're talking about with those departmental databases, there might be nothing technically wrong with those. Hey, you've got the data that you need here, you've got the data that you need here, but it doesn't really solve the bigger problem of we don't have a single source of truth, and that's where your non-technical business analysis comes in handy.
Sure. No, thanks. This is a good conversation.
Thanks.
Good stuff.